Hello and welcome to C++ Weekly. In this episode, I am going to discuss stack variable lifetime. I'm not going to go into all the different types of object lifetime. If you want to know about all the different types of object lifetime, then I'm going to go ahead and say, check out my object lifetime puzzlers books. I have made several of them, and they are available in print or ebook edition on Kindle or from LeanPub, so go ahead and check those out. But I want to just discuss the idea of lexically scoped automatic variables. This episode is sponsored by JetBrains, and I wanted to let you know that I do personally use CLion in my work. I find the refactoring tools to be particularly valuable. The safe delete feature has saved me a ton of time when I've been doing refactoring on large projects. I can get analysis of my compile time checks and see when something is wrong or fails to compile right here in my IDE. So be sure to check out the links in the video description for a discount code and more information about how you can check out CLion. Now, when we're talking automatic variables and automatic lifetime, we are not talking about auto. But just to add confusion to the mix, before C99, auto did actually mean automatically managed lifetime variables in the C programming language. It never really had meaning in C++. Then we weren't able to, quote, I wasn't there, able to repurpose it for auto, as we think of it auto, until C++ 11. Whatever. Anyhow, let's go ahead and discuss these things. I'm going to create a quick little object. Now, I have mentioned this so many times. You really need to write your own version of this thing so that you can play with it yourself. You will learn more than you can possibly imagine about objects and object lifetime and compiler optimizations if you just play with this thing yourself. But let's go ahead and write something out that prints all of the special member functions. And why are we doing all of the special member functions? Because we are good C++ programmers and we prefer the rule of 0. But when we want to do something with a destructor, we are going to correctly follow the rule of 5. I'm going to do some sort of talk at some point on the rule of 0 versus 5 versus 3 versus 6 versus whatever. I have plans for this. I know people love it when I talk about having me in for training, but the fact is that I can't and won't cover this kind of thing in depth in a 5-minute C++ weekly episode, and I do make a living from training. So it really is best if you can have me into your company. You probably work for a company that probably has a training budget. All right, I'm going to go ahead and create this object S. Now this thing is going to have its lifetime here, and its lifetime ends here. So how in the world can we prove to ourselves that its lifetime actually ends on line 23? And it's not actually that difficult. We can put out some sort of output that lets us know what happened between construction and destruction. And so we get the default constructor on line 21, the destructor on line 23, and we can in fact see that things happened. So the lifetime of a lexically scoped automatic variable in C++, that's the thing that we're talking about here, it is from declaration to closing brace, basically. Things like return value optimization and copy and move elision very much mess with our mental model of these things. But this is how things work. We're not even going to talk about the other special member functions here. If I were to move this thing into an explicit scope, then its lifetime ends here. And we can see lifetime begin and then the destructor and then the call to here. If I were to put this inside of a for loop, then I'm going to have 10 of these things created. And this is a little weird now to talk about when does the lifetime end. It is a better mental model of a for loop to argue that there is an implicit inner set of braces so that we can say the lifetime begins here and lifetime ends here. And then on this line is where the incrementer I has its lifetime end on line 28. There's conceptually an inner scope here. It's not actually what happens, but it is what conceptually happens. If I were to try to do this like loop thing here, now I'm going to take out these so that we can try to illustrate this point. Then I'm going to see object constructed, loop, object destroyed, right? So I'm going to see exactly what I was thinking. Each object, little s here, is its own brand new object on each loop iteration. So again, this is the basic conceptual model for how these things work. Play with this yourself. Create your own object that prints out its lifetime. Make various scopes, return values from functions, and see what happens. Now, I'm going to just give you a little sneak peek of this so that you can see for yourself that things are not always what you would expect. You might walk through this in your head and think that you see a bunch of copies and moves and assignment operations, but that is not what is happening. You have exactly one object constructed, exactly one object destroyed. In 2 cases, this is required by the standard. In the 3rd case, every compiler does it regardless of optimization level, and they have done this since C++ 98. And you need to go back and watch my video on that particular topic, which is called The Best Way to Return from a Function, I believe is the title of that episode. Play with these things yourself. Don't just trust me. Learn how the compiler can optimize these things and prefer stack variables. I will leave a link to this in the video description, so be sure you check that out. And thank you again for watching C++ Weekly. Come to one of my classes, and I will see you there.